To new friends.
We've got an amazing cast in this film, and it relies upon the ensemble and the chemistry, I think, between the 4 adults and 2 kids.
Oh, yeah. Good to see you, darling. Come on.
It felt very contemporary.
But Patty.
Oh, that's very kind of you, man. We'll get the car, okay?
I think that we've all been a bit over-therapized and we over-empathize, and it leads to us ignoring some of our more intuitive responses. And I think the movie really exploits that experience.
Oh, these are great.
I think, Agnes, that yours is the best.
I thought it was a real opportunity to build on some of the themes and to look at, say, toxic masculinity and how Paddy's character is this sort of bad mentor.
Patty, you're terrible. Terrible.
You do not know the half of it.
Paddy, apparently a doctor, but really he's much more about family life and country life, it seems.
I would have felt the back of my dad's hand by now.
People that are vulnerable are very easily persuaded. And I think Patty sees that in the Dalton family.
Patty is kind of a larger-than-life character who thinks that, you know, you should go back to your primal instincts.
She? Cheeky bastard. Should have brought my rifle.
And act on them and not be so constricted by social conventions.
I promise I'll go really slowly.
But legally...
I won't call the fun police if you don't.
Come on, please.
It's hard to say no, isn't it?
Paddy seems to be, at times, a healthy expression of modern masculinity. But he's got a much more old-school version of that.
Listen, my dad always used to say you have to work really hard at life, otherwise you will amount to nothing.
And one of the things that the film does is it's constantly playing with what's acceptable and what is not acceptable.
Is this chair free?
It's fun writing somebody that is devilish.
That's my boy.
That narcissism, I suppose, of somebody who craves attention and loves to push people's buttons.
I fundraise for sustainable fishing and for eco-labeling on packaging.
That kind of pescatarianism is a privilege.
He's toxic with it, but he balances it with something to sweeten it.
Too many people these days are afraid of honest debate, aren't they? We're all too fucking polite.
I enjoyed everything about working with James. He is 100% like the most dedicated professional actor you could ever work with, and he is just phenomenally gifted.
Oh, well, that is very sweet of you to say.
The character that he plays is this incredibly overbearing, confident, sort of force of nature.
James just brings Paddy to life so perfectly. He's so charming, but also intimidating.
Whoop. Oh, sorry, mate, it slipped.
Jesus, Ben, you have no problem standing up to me, but you won't say shit to him.
Louise, she is a helicopter mom. She has a lot of anxiety, and she's in this very uncomfortable place in her life, and she can feel herself not being the cool person in the room.
You want a dessert?
No, she's already had her ice cream for today.
Oh, wow. You guys are tough.
She's constantly trying to suppress her instincts, which are, something's not right here. She's constantly trying to sort of keep to the social contract and to be polite.
Sometimes it's okay to think things, but you can't actually say them.
Mackenzie Davis is just amazing in this, and I don't think you've seen her play a character like this before, so disempowered at times, but really struggling and fighting against that.
I maybe overreacted.
Mackenzie is an incredibly talented actor, and she really is so intelligent.
I'm sorry, but that is crossing a line. I mean, that is not
It's
okay.
my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The first time I put the script down after reading it, I thought, I really, 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 really hope that James Watkins wants me to play this part.
Agnes, love, you have to eat your vegetables.
Aisling Franciosi, who is an incredible actress, and getting to explore their relationship, Paddy and Kira's relationship with Aisling, has been brilliant.
Ah, now you're parenting our child.
Because we do things differently.
Wow.
I think she's injected so much secret malevolence into a character that I don't think that was fully there on the page, and she's found so many layers of humanity and like a very manipulative performance of weakness at times.
We had a baby daughter.
No.
Mary. And she died at 12 weeks of a cot death.
And I love how she presents one way, but is very much another way underneath it all.
Thank you for coming.
Kira is sort of like Paddy's secret weapon.
Agnes, love. Do you want to come help me peel these?
She brings a sort of softness and a warmth, and if Paddy can risk being boorish, you know, Kira softens him.
No, she'll be fine.
Ben is struggling with trying to find or express his own masculinity.
You want a beer? When we meet him, he's lost all of his confidence. He's sort of searching and trying to find himself again, and he comes across Paddy, who is everything that Ben wants to be.
Scoot McNairy, he's actually quite a masculine dude. He's probably more Paddy than I could ever be. Like, when we're doing all this stuff in the woods and shooting guns and dealing with animals and stuff like that, he does all that anyway. He is like a kind of man of the country.
Scoot is a character in himself. I think he's a really incredible actor. I've seen him in so many things.
Louise, we've both had a little bit too much to drink.
I don't care. I want to leave now.
Okay, just let me get some coffee in me
You
first,
shouldn't
all
come
right?
back here.
There are some actors who are quite performative, and there's a place for that, and then there's others who strive for that kind of very grounded and truthful. I think Scoot really nails that.
Paddy, for Christ's sakes, just let him dance. He's a kid.
And then we've got Alix and Dan, who are exceptional, also dealing with scenes that are pretty graphic and grown up and sensitive, and they're holding their own and just being amazing.
Daniel plays Ant, and I just want to say first and foremost that this is his first film, and he is so good. He's so natural, and he's also just a lovely kid.
Ant is a very sad kid. The way that I get into Ant is thinking about if it was me. So say my family had been killed, I have to live with the murderers and they act like I'm their son. It must be horrible, and that's how I get into the character. I think it's been a lot harder than being able to talk, because you have to express yourself in different ways.
Dan was a real find. He was so in it. His imagination went to that place and he was there, which is what the best actors do. They shut everything out and they are just living the truth of the moment.
I don't understand.
Agnes is played by Alix wonderfully.
Mom! Agnes, indoor voice.
Not indoors.
She's a very anxious child.
I actually did some research on what it feels and looks like to have anxiety. We can't leave him there. We can't leave him there. And she has her comfort bunny, Hoppy. Dad, look, they found Hoppy.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Agnes. I think an animal must have got to him.
I love everybody here. I've learned so much by just watching. It's so cool.
Look at their faces.
We should have taken a picture.
Of course I'm a bloody doctor. We've totally had them. We've got an amazing company, fantastic characters, to the point where, like, I hope you're almost rooting for the baddies at the end. I doubt you are, because we do some pretty despicable stuff.
We believe honesty is the first step to fixing things. We think you can.
All right, oh, come on, that's it. You gotta come visit. Really, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah? Yeah, done.
Well, all right, then.
The Felds, they live in the land, they live in the countryside. It all seems very wholesome and earthy, and yet there's a fucking darkness in the land as well. There's a darkness in old England.
Baby, we're here.
They've done an incredible job with the location and the farmhouse in particular.
The farmhouse is definitely another character. We scouted around and tried to say, okay, can we shoot this on location? It was quite difficult, but we eventually found this farmhouse. It was like a set, the sense of authenticity. The interior and the exterior of the farm are shot in the same location, which is incredibly rare.
Lynch Farm, the house had not been lived in for 40 years, maybe?
I shot it deliberately with an aerial top shot as they arrive, so you can see the geography of it, and you can see they're entering this closed courtyard. It was enclosed on all four sides, and it felt almost like you were in a prison yard or a castle keep. So it could be both protective and it could also be entrapping.
It's a listed building, but we've done a lot to it. We've had walls taken out, we had structural surveys done, chimneys swept, safety inspections.
Jeez. Oh, God.
Luckily for us, it's not currently tenanted, so it's pretty much empty, which I think worked very well for the art department.
When it comes to this house, there's a real horrific and scary element to it.
Wow, this place.
The interior had this kind of low ceiling, beams that create these sort of the sense of enclosure.
Do you like it?
Yes, it's great.
A lot of people would walk in here and be like, I can't shoot in a space, whereas we kind of embraced that.
But, you know, James, or, you know, we call him the Oscar-winning James Prize because he's just won an Oscar. He's just incredibly can-do and fantastically gifted.
The constraints of shooting it in a space so small, one thing that worried me was like, it's going to send everybody insane, the crew insane, because you're forcing them to shoot, you know, a particular way. And that kind of helps the visual style and the storytelling.
It perfectly teeters on the line of, oh, is this, you know, shabby chic, cozy cottage vibes, or is it kind of a little bit manky and creepy?
Wow.
Cozy.
It's that double encoding. When you look at something in one light, you kind of go, oh, wow, yeah, this is great. It's so nice to be here. And then another light, you kind of go, oh, yeah, is it nice to be here?
Look, we're in the country, all right? Our normal isn't their normal. They're just a bit more, I don't know, unvarnished.
They filled the house with all these little figurines that they'd collected.
Such little bitty details that really, really describe the horror that's about to be inflicted on them, but yet so the signs are everywhere around the house.
It's quite a likeable place, even if it's a bit jarring, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, like, the first 3 times you read the script, you don't even realise they're serial killers.
The trophy room is like the classic villain's lair, where you get the full articulation of Patty and Kira's crimes.
The trophy room, they did such a good job on it, but it is so creepy. And it's so crazy just thinking about how scary that is.
The lesson of the house is never hang out with vacation friends after the vacation.
Why are you doing this?
Because you let us.
Some things happened that made us feel like it was best that we head back home.
What things? I think we deserve to know. It's great working with Blumhouse again. They're a clever company. They know how to create material that is part of a genre, but people are getting way more than they thought they came for. There's some really uncomfortable moments, some really cringe-worthy moments. Yeah, I know what you need.
What really interested me was, I think, just how excruciating it can be to navigate social spaces and how that can feel as life or death as actual life or death scenarios.
It's good.
I think what's interesting about this is if there's a sort of dark corridor that the characters are walking down in this film, it's the dark corridor of psychology.
Everybody talking, but nobody being honest. It's left us impatient and stressy.
The minute they meet us, we are their dark corridor, and they can't stop going down it.
Promise you guys, it's gonna be a great weekend.
It has that classic horror movie thing of the lead characters like continuing to put themselves in danger and it being frustrating to see them do that.
We had such a good time.
Well, then I've got to ask again, right, why did you leave? Be honest.
But at the same time, I always understood why they kept coming back and putting themselves in danger because of this sort of social contract to be understanding and empathetic.
Patty, it's okay. He doesn't have to.
It's all right, it's all right. He wants you, don't you, mate? And that is not a push. Come on. Come on.
I think that grounded horror, meaning horror that can happen to you, is the scariest part.
You're still not being completely honest, are you?
It's great working with a writer-director like James, who's like, I wrote this thing, and if you see something that we can really go after, like, he's right there, and he's like, yep, let's go for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
His specificity of these performances is what made this particular project so fun to work with. I loved watching these characters sort of pushing each other's boundaries, but not too much.
Cut that.
Cut that! He's a really great fit for this because he can avoid any tropes and to play the movie kind of like a story of a couple in crisis rather than a horror movie where every jump scare is going to have increasing value and power.
It's more difficult to be haunted by a ghost than like meet some nice people on vacation and then they turn out to be not that nice.
Magnus, we don't chew with our mouths open.
There's sex and dirt and blood and gore and all sorts of horrible things, but you don't see that at first.
How did you get those?
They are very messed up.
And what are you doing? How hard can it be? Right, just feel it in your feet. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah? Watch Agnes. She's doing it. Do what she's doing, yeah?
For Christ's sakes, he's just a child.
You can't talk to him like that. What is wrong with you?
Go to your room!
Stop it!
What I find most horrific about this is that there are situations like this that happen in real life. There are serial killers, there are murderers.
You see it all coming, but that's why it's terrifying.
You sure I can't quickly make you some sandwiches for the journey?
Oh, that's so kind of you, but we'll just stop on the way.
Feels like it's just ratcheting rather than jumping into another movie.
Yeah, you guys let us know when you get there. You could send me a little text.
Charting that was very important to me. And how the sort of metaphorical kind of horror of everyday life becomes a literal horror.
Just smile away. Bye.
In the final act of this film, the wheels come off.
Dad! Dad, stop!
80% of the movie feels like a social misstep, and then in the last 20% it becomes a full-fledged horror film. I think it's fun being really scared all the time.
It ends up being horrifying.
It's creepy.
That's the magic of making films. You know, it's really spine-tingling.
It's quite disturbing.